Only those who know the underlying truth can bring this to an end. Sadly, they remain silent. The words of former White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan, this time under oath, in our third story on the countdown, describing the Bush administration's overstated and overpackaged selling of pre-war intelligence, and facing critics like ranking Republican Lamar Smith, who snidely welcomed McClellan to the Judiciary Committee's first meeting of the Book of the Month Club. Appearing voluntarily before the House Judiciary Committee today at its request, Mr. McClellan said he did not think President Bush knew about the leak of CIA officer Valerie Plame's identity. As for the vice president, quote, I do not know. There's a lot of suspicion there. Pay attention to exactly how McClellan's own unwitting lie in the matter came about September 29, 2003, right after the leak investigation was launched.
That Saturday morning, I received a call from the White House Chief of Staff, Andy Card, and he said that the President and Vice President had spoken that morning, and they wanted me to provide the same assurances for Scooter Libby that I had for Karl Rove. I was reluctant to do it, but I headed into the White House that Saturday morning. I talked with Andy Card, and I said I would provide the same assurances for Scooter Libby, provided he gave me the same assurances that Karl Rove had. And I got on the phone with Scooter Libby and asked him point blank, were you involved in this in any way? And he assured me in unequivocal terms that he was not, meaning the leaking of Valerie Plame's identity to any reporters.
Also notable that the leak of Valerie Plame's name and the distorted pre-war intel of which it was a part may never fully be addressed.
I think that the problem here is that this White House promised or assured the American people that at some point when this was behind us, they would talk publicly about it. And they have refused to. And that's why I think more than any other reason we are here today, and this suspicion still remains.
So when Congressman Smith says, quote, Scott McClellan alone will have to wrestle with whether it was worth selling out the president and his friends for a few pieces of silver, he should consider exactly what he himself was selling and the consequences, far more grave than a few pieces of silver. Dana Milback, national political reporter of The Washington Post, MSNBC political analyst, attended today's hearings. Dana, good evening.
Evening, Keith.
The reception for Mr. McClellan before Judiciary today sounds like it was varying wildly between the Republican book critics and the Democrats, and one of the Democrats invoked, at least one of them invoked impeachment.
Actually, three of them invoked impeachment, and one of them was Robert Wexler, who's been a key surrogate for Barack Obama. But basically, all that is invoking impeachment. The Democratic leaders, as you know, have taken it off the table. So really all they can do in this sort of a forum is make some noise. So it really actually did become sort of a book club gathering where he was getting raves from the Democrats and rather harsh reviews from the other side.
But those who raved on his behalf, was there any sense there today that this great body of discontent about pre-war intel, about selling the war, about the lies, about the attacking of critics of the war, that all this is going to be in some mysterious way resolved after Mr. Bush leaves office, or is it just going to sit there like a historical exhibit at the Smithsonian?
Yes, it'll be an exhibit in the Smithsonian, and Joe Wilson will donate his body to the exhibit. You know, normally this sort of thing would come out eventually. You know, the National Archives would get the notes. They'd eventually be released for the benefit of historians. But as we know, a lot of the crucial emails and things will have been deleted by that time anyway. So there's not a lot of hope here either that this committee will get anywhere, particularly since an actual prosecutor, Patrick Fitzgerald, could not get any further than this. So who knows? In a quarter century, we may be able to write a footnote to history. About
Fitzgerald, the chairman of the Judiciary, John Conyers, said that the incidents in McClellan's book, let me quote him exactly, may constitute obstruction of justice beyond what Scooter Libby was convicted for. The book is essentially, the key elements of the book, they're now on the congressional record. Does it move the Judiciary Committee's investigation forward? What is the nature of that investigation? Or are they just, as we said before, the only stage right here is telling the truth on the record aloud and hoping something good will happen of it someday?
Yeah, well, you see, Keith, there's no accident that the offense of contempt of Congress is a misdemeanor, and Karl and Scooter and the whole gang know that they can stonewall and avoid this committee. Ultimately, all they can do is scream and yell about it, and there's not a whole lot of time they have to worry about it. It'd be very easy for them to run out the clock, and clearly, as you saw from Lamar Smith in his Book of the Month Club remark, that they're not going to get a lot of support there. So, yeah, they can call a few more hearings. Hard to see, as Scott McClellan himself said today, how they get much beyond this without other people coming to talk.
All right. Even though this is a Rosetta Stone, I use that term for like the 15th time about trying to understand the last few years, his point, he may be the last one to speak. Is there any possibility, any inkling whatsoever that anyone's going to follow down this path, even if it is later on Karl Rove needs $5 million?
No, none, I don't think. I mean, plenty of people are talking, like Ari Fleischer and Dana Perino and Tony Fratto, who today said that Scott McClellan has already said everything he doesn't know, so why not say some more? So, no, I think I saw the puffy bags under Scott's eyes there. He's been under a great deal of strain, I think, because so many of his old friends have been so loyal to the president and so tough on him. I see no cracks occurring where others are going to follow him.
The cracks may occur if the Republicans don't get the White House back, and the rest of these people don't have any source of income after January of next year. We'll see. Dana Milbank of the Washington Post and MSNBC, permitting me to talk about that while he sits there and nods knowingly. Thank you, Dana. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Keith.